Good morning to all of you. It's again a pleasure being with you and being able to report to you about what is happening in the International Olympic Committee and in the entire Olympic movement, and to have the opportunity to discuss different questions also with you. When we start this kind of discussion, we should not forget on which basis we are discussing it, where we are right now, before we are looking into the future. Because you can only look into the future when you know where we are coming from. And there we can say that after we met last time in Prague 1 year ago, that we have had a very successful Olympic year. You may remember when we were meeting there in Prague, there were shadows still over the then forthcoming Olympic Winter Games Pyeongchang. Shadows in different ways. We even had some doubts whether these games could happen as planned because of the many political interferences we still had there at the end of last year. Now, 1 year later, you have heard the report of Pyeongchang 2018, and you have been informed about the great success of these Olympic Winter Games in different ways, from the organizational point of view, from the athletes' point of view, the sports point of view, the village point of view, but also the financial point of view, with a surplus of $55 million US, regardless of the many difficulties Pyeongchang had to face with regard to the marketing of these games because of the political circumstances before these Winter Games. And I think we can look back also with pride what we have done in Pyeongchang and with these Olympic Winter Games for our values. What we have done to promote understanding and peace in the world, and in particular, in this case, on the Korean Peninsula. And there, it's better we let others speak for us than we speak for ourselves. So I may refer to President Moon from the Republic of Korea, who has said that we have opened the door to peace talks with our initiatives on the Korean Peninsula, and who has said that there the IOC deserves a lot of credit for this. And his counterpart in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Chairman Kim Jong-un, he has said that these Olympic Games shifted the momentum in the North-South Korean relations, and that this was totally attributable to the efforts of the IOC. I think this we share, this success we all share together, because at the end it's the NOCs there who are sending their athletes to the Olympic Games. It's the NOCs with whom we arranged the joint march and the joint women's ice hockey team and so many other actions more. So this success is also your success, as every success in this Olympic movement is always not the success of one party alone, it's always the success of everybody. And we have been asked by the leaders of both countries to continue our efforts to contribute to peace on the Korean Peninsula through actions in sport. And of course, the IOC has agreed with this, as we have committed ourselves to this, and already at the very beginning of next year there will be new talks together with the two NOCs of the two Korean states and with the two governments to see what we can do there to strengthen these peace efforts which are underway on the political level now. We have had the Olympism in Action Forum, which we have to evaluate. My first personal feeling is it was successful. We succeeded in opening the doors. We let fresh air in. We gave our critics the opportunity to express themselves. But they had also to accept that they are not knowing the truth alone, but that there are other opinions, and they had to face these arguments. And then everybody participating and everybody who wanted to listen could make his or her own judgment. But we will have to evaluate this before the IOC Executive Board next year will decide whether we continue with such kind of forum and in which way. So you're all invited to participate in this evaluation. We have started a survey, and there, please participate in this survey and help us shaping the future of this Olympism in Action Forum with your proposals, with your input, with your critics, so that we know how you are and you were feeling about this. And as far as I have heard, that the service has started, but to say it diplomatically, the quantity of responses has still some room for improvement. So please look into this. It's an opportunity to make your voice heard also in this respect. After this forum, we had the Youth Olympic Games 2018. You have heard the report yesterday by the organizing committee. Not much to add to this. These were Youth Olympic Games of a new era, and there I see our IOC Honorary President Jacques Rogge, the father of these Youth Olympic Games, with us. And I'm very happy that at the lunch we had very recently, I think it was last week in Lausanne, I'm very happy to be able to report to you that also he was very pleased with the outcome and with the result of these Youth Olympic Games, where I think we have found a format which gives a future to these Youth Olympic Games. And the future, there will be Africa for the first time with a great Olympic event being in Africa, and where Africa can show us their interpretation of Olympic values, their interpretation on how to approach youth, how to engage with youth, how to promote the Olympic values on the African continent. And I'm sure in one thing, they will continue with the trend that these Youth Olympic Games have been setting. That means gender equality. That means more urban. We have to continue to go where people are, whether in the real world or in the virtual world. But we have to go where the youth and where people are. And we cannot expect any more people just coming to us. We have to engage with them. And there, I think Dakar and Senegal and Africa will be another great opportunity. And in this way, these Youth Olympic Games can also set a trend for the future organization, not only of the Youth Olympic Games, but also of the Olympic Games. And there, I have a kind of dream. When I was experiencing the opening ceremony of these Youth Olympic Games of Buenos Aires 2018 in the center of the city, around the iconic obelisk of the city. I was imagining what such kind of opening ceremony in the city, in the center of a city, in a landmark place of a city, what this would mean for the Olympic Games. Not inviting people to come and to watch an opening ceremony, but to be there and to celebrate with us this Olympic spirit, to be part of the celebration, to share these emotions, and not just to see and watch and see others experiencing these emotions. Vous allez entendre un peu plus tard le rapport de Paris 2024. Et j'espère bien que nos amis de Paris ont bien reçu ce message et peut-être vous pouvez déjà commencer à réfléchir un petit peu ce qui sera peut-être possible à Paris, or maybe also a little bit later in Los Angeles 2028. Based on this successful Olympic year, we can look with great confidence in the future. And the future is here. It's not around the corner, it's not far away, it's here and now. It's Tokyo 2020. You just have heard the report, so not much to add to this. But again, I want to repeat, and I have been around there also yesterday, half a day with the organizing committee of Tokyo 2020. I have really never seen an Olympic city being so ready as Tokyo 18 months before the Olympic Games. Yes, there are challenges we have to address. The heat issue, we always at the Olympic Games will have to look into transportation, but for everything there are solutions, and there are solutions already underway, and the facilities are ready and will be ready in time. You will experience great test events next year. So Tokyo is really an example for a diligent preparation of Olympic Games, and there I would like to thank and to congratulate our friends from the Tokyo Organizing Committee once more. Because they do not only manage to organize these Olympic Games in a technical way. They do not only impress us with their friendliness and with their hospitality. They do not only impress us with their efficiency. They also impress us how they get the message of the values of the Olympic Games really being promoted. How they get this message to the people. And there I have a very personal experience. Visiting Fukushima and the devastated areas just a couple of days ago together with Prime Minister Abe. There you could really feel the power of sport. The power of sport to unite people. The power of sport to give hope to people. The power of sport to give optimism to people. And this was so important in this area. Because to reconstruct a devastated area, yes, it needs to reconstruct buildings, to provide electricity, to provide the daily needs of the people. But to be able to do this in such a short period of time, it needs people. And it needs people who are determined. It needs people who are committed. It needs people who have confidence in what they are doing. It needs people who are looking, despite all the challenges they have, with optimism into the future. It needs people who believe in this future. And there it was really moving to experience when speaking there with young athletes, with young people who were affected by this disaster, to experience how much they all related to the power of sport. And they all told us how sport gave them this hope, how sport gave them this optimism, how sport made them believe into the future, how sport united them also with the people who were not directly affected with this disaster. And therefore, we are very happy that with the organization of some baseball and softball games, we can show our solidarity with the people of Fukushima, with the people in these devastated areas, and we can show to them that we are standing by their side, that we are there for solidarity, and that we are there to promote this power of sport to all the people, not only in Tokyo, not only in Japan, but across the world, and in particular for all these people in these devastated countries. We have underway the process for candidatures for 2026. You have heard the reports of two excellent candidates yesterday. I will refrain from making any comments because I guess both candidate cities are in the room, and they will note every word I said, and then they will go home and interpret it in one way or the other. So to tell you, you can both report back home you're very strong candidates. You're embracing Olympic Agenda 2020 by providing more than 80% of existing facilities to your candidatures, and we are looking forward with confidence to this procedure, and we will do this together with you and bring it to a successful end. Putting all this together, Tokyo 2020, Beijing 22, Paris 24, an excellent host city and host country for 26, an excellent host city already for 28, having strong interest already now for the Winter Games in 2030, and having 14 years ahead of the Olympic Games 2032, already now a very strong interest in different continents by different NOCs and different countries. We can really say that we are enjoying a stability which I think any other major organization or industry or NGO would envy us. Because this stability in this world we are living in is maybe the hardest currency you can have. You experience every day in your country, in your society, that everything can change from one day to another, from 1 hour to another in this fast-changing world. And there imagine that there, on the other hand, we have in the Olympic movement this long-term stability with excellent hosts already decided, with others already at the horizon 14 years ahead. And we have this great stability also with regard to all our partners. We do not only have the host cities, we also have the partners. Our many of, be it our top sponsors or our rights-holding broadcasters, have signed agreements until 28 or even until 2032, so that we all can plan long-term, that we all can benefit from this stability, that you can make in your NOCs all the budgets, that you can initiate all the projects, also the long-term projects, knowing that the IOC will also be in the foreseeable future to be able to distribute 90% of all our revenues to the Olympic movement, and that you are benefiting there from this distribution on the rights from sponsors and our top sponsors, as well as from the TV income we have together, and we are sharing this. And these long-term partnerships, yes, they're important on the financial level for all of us. They allow us to plan long-term, and with our distribution, they allow you to plan long-term. But what I think in the effect is even more important is the confidence which is expressed by these partners in our movement in the Olympic Games and in the IOC. Because these partners, these are industries. They do not sign contracts with us for 2018, for 28 or for 2032 because we have so nice blue eyes and because we are so sympathetic. They calculate, they evaluate very carefully before they make such long-term investments with these amounts which are being involved. And then you can be sure that they sign only knowing that they have partners on which they rely, in which they have confidence, and that they have an engagement with Olympic Games who will not only maintain, but who will even increase their relevance and their attractivity in the years to come. And this is the real message. And this we should not and never forget, because this confidence we have to earn. And we have to earn it every day. And they have confidence in us because, on the one hand, they see the attractivity of the games, they see the relevance of the games, but on the other hand, because they have confidence that we are doing the right thing in this partnership, and that we are doing the right thing with the money they are paying. And that means they also have confidence in our governance. And they trust in our good governance. But it is easier to build confidence than to lose confidence. Therefore, we have to make this effort every day. And this effort means that the same rules of good governance apply and must apply to everybody in the Olympic movement. Because as I told you many times, and maybe you don't want to hear it anymore, but I will not get tired of repeating it. With regard to good governance, what affects one of us affects all of us. So you all, and each and everybody of you, has a responsibility to keep this confidence alive and to apply standards of good governance in your NOC and in everything you are doing. And there we have seen a good example yesterday. Sheikh Ahmad al-Sabah understood this message very well. And he has drawn the right conclusions. There, and for this reason, the IOC Executive Board has made two very clear statements in this context. We have said, first of all, that we respect the decision he took on his own will. And we recognize that this was taken, this decision, his decision, was taken in the interest of all of us. But we all also stated at the same time that stepping aside temporarily cannot be interpreted as any admission of guilt, and that the presumption of innocence has to prevail. And therefore, I would once more, what the Executive Board has already done before, but after yesterday's discussion, I would once more pay respect to Sheikh Ahmad al-Sabah and the firm stance he took after this discussion and the example there he has been setting for taking this responsibility to protect all of us. And we hope that we can see him back here very soon after his case is solved, and we will pay this respect then also on his hopeful return among all of you and among all of us. You should I think this is an encouragement for all of us. It's an encouragement for all of us, again, every day, to apply these rules of good governance, to live a good governance, and to follow this route in order, again, to maintain the confidence of our partners, to maintain the confidence of the world. What is important to maintain confidence is also the role of the athletes. Their roles, no need to repeat, you have heard this so many times from me, is central. And there, again, we, in the last year, could see a new achievement, a milestone achievement by the IOC Athletes Commission and by a steering committee, by drafting and by then approving the athletes' declaration on rights and responsibilities. This is a real milestone. And for me personally, it's also an emotional milestone, because I was one of them who, I don't know whether my friend Sepp Coe is, no, he was here. So anyway, because he was one of those who, with me at the time, started this fight for a better athletes representation. And we had many ideas. And we were attacking this and attacking that, and we wanted to have lifelong bans for any doper in the world. And we were fighting for a small piece of recognition in any organization. We were fighting for being elected and not being appointed. So in every respect. But what we never managed was to get this together, to put this together in a document. And what we never managed, and maybe could not manage at the time because the ways of communications were not so easy like today, what we never managed was to relate then to the athletes community and to reassure you always that you're doing the right thing in their interest. But now, this Athletes Commission and this steering committee, they have managed to put this together, and to put this together with the input of 4,200 athletes from all over the world. So with this declaration, they can really say, we are speaking on behalf of the athletes of the world. And this we should respect, because they have a legitimacy. Unfortunately, I've heard so many voices in the past where it was about, I'm speaking on behalf of the athletes of the world. Everybody can criticize. Everybody can express their opinion. Also, this athletes' declaration will not be unanimously accepted. So welcome every proposal for improvement. I think our Athletes Commission will welcome. They're even looking for it. They are offering this dialogue. But we have also to put this into perspective. That if there are critics, yes, express your opinion, come there. But what I cannot understand is that sometimes even officials who have not been elected by anybody in the sports world, not to speak by any athletes, that they express their opinion and say, I am speaking on behalf of the athletes of the world. On behalf of the athletes of the world, it's these elected commissions. It's these representatives who are speaking. It's this steering committee with this procedure of a dialogue with thousands of athletes around the world. And this we should respect. This we should then defend as much as we defend the freedom of expression for everybody, but then they should please say, this is my opinion, or this is the opinion of a group of people, and, but not to claim to speak on behalf of the athletes of the world. They are speaking. Our Athletes Commission, this steering committee, in their dialogue with everybody, they can speak with some legitimacy on behalf of the athletes of the world. So please help them also in this respect. Help them in your NOCs to implement these athletes' declaration. Help them that in each NOC we finally have an elected athletes commission, that they have their right to make their voice heard in your NOCs. And then encourage them and send them to what promises to be the biggest ever assembly of athletes representative, the IOC Athletes Forum in April next year in Lausanne. Encourage them to go there. Push them to go there, to make their voice being heard. Then this Athletes Forum has another legitimacy to express the opinion of the athletes of the world. What is significant, and I think Kirsti will later on report, but allow me to make this one point. What is significant in this athletes' declaration is that it's about rights and responsibilities. And I want to make this clear in one example. It is easy to say we want to have the right to take part in a fair competition without any manipulation, without any doping. But if you say this as an athlete, it also means you have the responsibility to be fair. You have the responsibility to be clean. Because only if you as athlete are clean, the others can enjoy this right. So every right, and this is like in real life, what you experience day by day, every right brings a responsibility with it. And this is what I really admire, that this steering committee has expressed this so clearly and had the courage to do this, to show there is always a balance between rights and responsibilities. When it comes to clean competition, I think the IOC also has made good progress by establishing the ITA, by avoiding even the perception of a conflict of interest, by delegating the testing to ITA, and by delegating the sanctioning to CAS. And I can only invite all of you, in particular if you're organizer of sports events, to follow this path and to engage with ITA, as so many international federations now already are doing, because they have realized that this is the right step to do, that this is the step to do for the future of protecting the clean athletes. One of the athletes' rights is also the right to participate in Olympic competitions without any discrimination. And there, unfortunately, again, we had some recent cases about political discrimination in some major sports events in the last year. So that host country did not allow athletes from countries whom they do not recognize diplomatically to enter the country or to use their national symbols or whatever. So there, I just would like to repeat, we stand firmly on this principle of non-discrimination. And we will not only be satisfied by trying to intervene in individual cases or individual problems. I think you have seen in the past and just in the last couple of weeks that we are ready to go a step further, where we advised, in particular, international federations, when they are allocating international events, to have a close look into this question of non-discrimination. And not only have to have a close look, but then also to draw the consequences of this, and not to give any international event to such a country which does not respect the rules of the Olympic Charter and which does not respect our rules. Because again, each and everybody of you, each NOC must have an interest in protecting this principle of non-discrimination, not only because it's one of our core values, but also in your well-understood own interest. Because what is happening now in the relations between a country A and B, tomorrow can happen to you in the relation between country C and D. If the politics in your country is changing, if politically something is changing in another country, and you have all of a sudden the call for sanctions and boycotts and whatsoever, then you are affected. So please help and stand firmly in this question in your very well understood own interest. And this, in these fragile times, is sometimes not easy, because we are living in a time where nationalism is gaining ground over patriotism. Patriotism is a very healthy and positive thing. But in particular in sport, we should not allow that it turns into nationalism. And we are living in a world where there is a lot of mistrust against everything, also against us, but also against any kind of leading organization, business, political party, against what they say in some country, the establishment in general. And there is a tendency to cut any kind of dialogue, to give the impression that if you speak with somebody, if you sit with somebody in a room, you already share their opinion, rather than to realize that if you have a problem with somebody, you will not be able to solve it if you walk out of the door. You will only be able to solve it if you sit in the room and if you at least try to have a dialogue, if you at least try to understand, if you at least try to come to a solution. I'm not saying everybody who has another opinion than me, I don't talk to. So there, our values are challenged in this, what we call, with a German word, but which I think also has entered into English language, this zeitgeist. And because this zeitgeist is like this, and because this zeitgeist is in some respect in contrast to our values. We would have to say, and we have to make it clear, we stand for dialogue, we stand for peace, we stand for diversity, we stand for universality, we stand for tolerance, we stand for respect, and we stand against any form of discrimination in this sporting world. And this clear position, because of this zeitgeist again, is maybe more important than ever. So, nobody should have any doubt. The more these our values are challenged, the more we stand together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, President Thomas Bach. Well, if some Olympic committee want to make some question, the President is open to answer. No question? Morocco, have the floor.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Moi, je voudrais tout d'abord rendre 3 hommages. Le premier, à notre président du CEO, Monsieur Thomas Bach, pour ce partage historique, pour sa passion. D'ailleurs, c'est l'un de ses atouts dans sa réussite de sa mission, parce que c'est un passionné. Il arrive à nous transmettre chaque année, il arrive à nous ressourcer et renforcer notre amour pour le sport et pour l'olympisme. Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je voudrais aussi remercier le comité d'organisation pour l'excellence de l'organisation de notre Assemblée. Et le comité, le CNO japonais, nous a donné un avant-goût de ce que seront les JO de 2020. Ces JO, certainement, et j'en suis convaincu, seront une formidable réussite et rehausseront et renforceront l'image du sport. Enfin, je voudrais revenir sur les événements qui ont marqué 2018, à savoir les Jeux d'hiver en Corée, les Jeux asiatiques à Jakarta et les Jeux de Buenos Aires. Et j'ajouterai la Coupe du monde du football, puisque le football est un des sports olympiques les plus en vue. La Coupe du monde organisée en Russie. Je voudrais aussi, à cette occasion, féliciter les organisateurs et surtout leur public qui nous ont offert des événements de très haut niveau. J'ai eu la chance d'assister à 3 de ces événements, la Coupe du monde, les Jeux de Buenos Aires et Pyeongchang. Je voudrais remercier leur public pour leur discipline et leur esprit festif qui ont fait que ces manifestations sont des fêtes où le brassage des nationalités dans la fraternité a montré, s'il en était besoin, la force de l'olympisme et ses valeurs. Je voudrais aussi marquer ma très haute satisfaction suite à la décision prise à Buenos Aires de confier les prochains Jeux olympiques de la jeunesse au Sénégal. Le CIO s'ouvre ainsi, comme l'a signalé M. le Président tout à l'heure, dans son bilan à l'Afrique, et ce n'est que justice, parce que les moyens financiers ne peuvent paraître un obstacle à l'universalité du sport. Pour terminer, je voudrais, mesdames et messieurs, et pour mieux souligner la fraternité olympique, vous soumettre une proposition qui, je l'espère, aura votre soutien. Il est d'usage que la distribution des médailles, ou plutôt la remise des médailles lors des Jeux olympiques des seniors, est effectuée par des membres du CIO et en présence d'un représentant d'une fédération internationale. Aussi, je propose que pour les Jeux olympiques de la jeunesse, de confier cette remise des médailles aux représentants des comités olympiques qui ne sont pas membres du CIO. C'est une manière de mettre en valeur la solidarité familiale qui est la nôtre. La flamme olympique est le symbole de nos manifestations, mais toute flamme doit être nourrie pour garder force, éclat et énergie. Le CIO, par ses idées nouvelles et modernes, se doit d'alimenter sans cesse le feu sacré qui nous anime. Merci pour votre attention.
Ethiopia.
Thank you for recognizing me.
So please, President Bach.
Thank you very much. I will try to respond in the order of the interventions. Et d'abord, je tourne vers le Maroc et mon ami Kamal. D'abord pour lui remercier pour les aimables paroles qu'il a trouvées pour le travail du CIO. Et après, pour avoir présenté son idée en ce qui concerne l'allocation des médailles aux Jeux olympiques de la jeunesse, on va prendre cette proposition en considération, Kamal, dès que nous discuterons là les Jeux de la jeunesse à Dakar. C'est peut-être un peu trop tard déjà pour Lausanne 2020, mais on verra ce qu'on peut faire. Mais restez assurés qu'au plus tard pour Dakar, on va discuter cette proposition.